Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're digging into a really fascinating model that's asking a huge question. You know all that powerful tech behind digital currencies? Well, can we actually use it to build a better, more tangible world? Something we can actually see and touch.
All right, so let's set the stage here. On one hand, you've got the whole world of speculative digital assets, right? We're talking about stuff where the value can just go through the roof or, totally tank based on pure market hype. It's all kind of abstract, digital. But then, on the other hand, you have tangible value. We're talking about the real, physical stuff. The output from factories, from farms, from infrastructure. It's concrete. You can measure it, and you can literally kick the tires on it.
And that right there brings us to the absolute core question of this whole explainer. Can we actually bridge that gap? Can this powerful, decentralized tech, the blockchain, be used to create real, measurable impact? Something that's not just code on a screen, but, something you can actually see and touch.
Well, there's a company called NESGESFinance, and they're betting that the answer is a big yes. They've built their whole model around this powerful idea they call tokenization with a purpose, and the goal is to create what they call a regenerative economy.
Okay, so what does tokenization with a purpose actually mean? Well, it's pretty simple at its core. It's the process of creating a digital token that represents a real-world thing. Think of it like a digital stock certificate, right? But instead of owning a tiny piece of a tech company, maybe you own a piece of a recycling plant or a farm. And that is the key difference. The token's value isn't just based on hype. It's tied directly to how well that project is actually doing, how much it's producing, and, of course, how profitable it is.
And this simple quote right here, it's cited as the ethical heart of their entire economic model. It's a really powerful statement because it frames the goal as something much bigger than just making a profit. It's about building a system that's based on shared well-being and responsible growth. One that's designed to benefit everyone who's a part of it.
So how do they actually pull this off? Let's take a look at the blueprint. Their whole approach stands on 3 core pillars. And these pillars, they work together to create this self-sustaining circular system. It's a really straightforward but honestly a pretty powerful blueprint. It breaks down into 3 steps. First, they tokenize real-world assets, or RWAs. Second, they build the whole thing on Bitcoin's super secure infrastructure. And third, they create a circular economy where the profits from one project are used to fuel the next one. So let's break each of those down.
And just look at the sheer variety of assets they're talking about here. This is not about digital art or collectibles. We are talking about real estate, agribusiness, industrial machinery, even large-scale recycling and energy projects. They're basically turning the physical, productive parts of our economy into investable digital assets. It's pretty wild.
Okay, pillar number 2, the tech foundation. And this part is absolutely crucial. See, this isn't built on just any old blockchain. They're using Bitcoin for its legendary security. But, and this is the clever part, for all the asset creation and the transactions, they're using these advanced layers built right on top of Bitcoin. We're talking about things like the Lightning Network, which makes payments super fast and really cheap. So you get this amazing combination of rock-solid security and day-to-day efficiency. That's what makes it work in the real world.
And this third pillar, this is really where the magic happens. It's the circular economy. So imagine the profits from a project, let's say an energy plant. They don't just get paid out and disappear into the ether. No, they're systematically funneled right back into the ecosystem. That capital is then used to kickstart new projects, to fund social initiatives, and to build up reserves. It creates this powerful self-sustaining loop of growth. It just keeps feeding itself.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in practice? This is where we go from code to concrete.
So, let's check out a real-world example. They're starting by tackling a massive global problem, one that's literally staring all of us in the face, this tidal wave of plastic pollution that's choking our oceans and our landfills.
And their approach? Well, it's to transform this huge problem into a solution. They're building these amazing plants that use a process called pyrolysis. And what that does is it takes all this plastic waste, the stuff that would normally just sit in the landfill or float in the ocean, and converts it into valuable alternative fuels, things like gasoline and diesel.
And the numbers from their pilot project? They're honestly pretty impressive. Just take a look at this. In a single year, one plant is projected to process 5,000 tons of plastic. It'll produce 3.5 million liters of gasoline, and it'll cut CO2 emissions by 8,000 tons. And here's the kicker. It does all of that while still being profitable, with an estimated return of somewhere between 18 and 22%.
But hey, remember that circular economy we talked about? Well, the impact goes way beyond just profit or environmental stats. A chunk of that revenue gets plowed back into social good. We're talking about funding projects like low-cost 3D printed prosthetics, building eco-friendly housing from recycled materials, and even providing microloans to help local entrepreneurs get started.
So, all of these different projects, from the industrial stuff to the social initiatives, they're all powered by a single, unique digital asset that's designed to be the lifeblood of this whole new economy.
That digital asset is called NGF-BTC. And look, it's designed with a very clear purpose. This thing is a tool, not just a speculative poker chip. It's used for payments, for swaps, even for governance inside the ecosystem. And most importantly, its value is anchored to two real things. One, the performance of all those real-world projects, and two, a strategic reserve of Bitcoin.
And you can see this focus on real-world utility just by looking at how the asset is allocated. I mean, look at this chart. The biggest slices of the pie are dedicated to funding more productive projects, supporting social initiatives, and keeping the system's reserves healthy. The whole design is all about building and growing things, not just trading back and forth.
So, to wrap things up, what are the big takeaways here? What should you remember? Well, first, this model offers a direct bridge between the world of digital finance and real-world positive impact. Second, its value is anchored in actual production, not just market hype. Third, it uses the blockchain to give us transparent, verifiable proof of that impact. And finally, the whole point is to create a self-sustaining economic engine that's designed to be regenerative, not extractive.
It is a seriously ambitious vision, right? It's trying to completely redefine what we mean by value by connecting it directly to production and to purpose. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to think about. Could a model like this actually be a blueprint for building a better, more tangible, and maybe even a more equitable economy?